Good morning, dear students. How are you all? Welcome to our next session of English, and we have started with our revision. Yesterday we have taken one topic from your grammar book, that is sentences, the first chapter in your books. So we have discussed the meaning of sentence. What is a sentence? So I have clarified the meaning by giving you some phrases and then just comparing it with the complete sentence. So we have done that. After that we have discussed the types of sentences that you have, that is simple assertive sentence or declarative sentence you can say, then interrogative related to questions, then we have done exclamatory and we have also done the imperatives. Then I have told you that there can be a positive sentence and there can be a negative sentence. But then something very important is also known as subject and predicate. These are the parts of sentences. So what are these? These are the two parts of sentences and these are very, very important. So let us quickly recall subject and predicate, which we have already done. Supposingly I write one sentence. Lokesh is playing football. Okay. My next sentence is Rohit studies daily for 2 hours. Close the door. Number 1, number 2 and number 3. Now, what is a subject and what is a predicate, dear children? Subject is always your noun or a pronoun, like any name, that is noun, Rohit, Lokesh, or it can be a pronoun like he, she or it. He is playing in the garden, he is sitting in his room. So all these are what he, she, it, Lokesh, Rohit, these are nouns and pronouns and these are what? Subjects. So your sentence always starts with the subject, but it is not necessary. If we talk of interrogative sentences, we will be coming to that also. So there is inverse of order in the subject and in your what? Verb order. So in interrogative sentences, we start with the verb first followed by the subject, whereas in simple sentences, we always start with your subject followed by your verb. So this is the difference between interrogative sentences and simple assertive sentences. So this is your subject. Then the rest of the part, that is including your helping verb, your main verb or your object. So this is known as predicate. So only your first part that has your noun or pronoun will be your subject and the rest of the part will be your predicate. So in the exam you can be asked to please find out the subject in the sentence and the predicate in the sentence. So you will do one thing. First you will give the heading subject, in front of that you will write Lokesh, then you will give the heading predicate and you will write is playing football. So this way it can be, or it can be another way, circle the subject and underline the predicate. So in that case you can simply write in the sentence like this, you can circle the subject and you can underline the predicate. So it can be either way. Let's come to the next sentence now. Rohit studies daily for 2 hours. So now tell me what can be the subject here. It is obviously a noun or a pronoun. So here we are given noun, Rohit. So this is our subject. Let's circle it like this. And now the rest of the part is your predicate, which includes, I have already told you, a helping verb, a main verb or your object. So now this helping verb can be optional also. It's not necessary that every sentence should have a helping verb. So just see the sentence. Studies now. What is studies? Is it your helping verb? Is it any auxiliary like is, are, am, was, were, as, have, will, shall? Is it so? No. So this means this is always optional, and since This sentence we don't have, so we'll start with the main verb directly. So the rest of the part starting with your verb is what? Your predicate. So subject always is your doer of action. कौन काम कर रहा है? कर्ता, जिसको हम हिंदी में कहते हैं कर्ता, काम का करने वाला कौन है यहाँ पे? Lokesh is playing football. Who is playing football? Lokesh. So you should always ask a question to yourself. Who? What? So what is being done by whom? So it is Lokesh is playing football. Football is being played by Lokesh. So you will get the answer. Who is the doer of action? Subject Lokesh. So again here, who studies daily? Rohit. So when we ask ourselves a question, who is the doer of action, we get our answer. This is your subject. And whatever is said about this subject, whatever information is there about this subject, that is your predicate. So we are given that he studies daily for 2 hours. So this is your predicate. Now let us see the next sentence. Close the door. So now what it is? It's an order. It's an imperative sentence. So how will you find in such type of sentences your subject? Let us see. Can you see any noun or pronoun here? No. So how do you do that? So dear children, when it is sentences like imperative sentences in which there can be request, there can be command, order, advice or suggestion. So we have to pre-assume that obviously it is you that is missing over here, and this you is your subject. So this way you will identify your subject which is hidden in the sentence. So obviously I will be talking to you only. I will give the order to whom? Obviously if you are standing in front of me, so I will give an order to the second person only. So you is your second person pronoun which is hidden in the sentence and which is your subject. Now close the door is your predicate. So this way you will find your subjects and the predicate. Now what about interrogative sentences? Let us see how to find subject and predicate in interrogative sentences. Okay, just give me one example. If I say, what is he doing? What is he doing? We all know that it is an interrogative sentence. Okay, so I have told you that there is always a noun or a pronoun, and that is your subject, and your sentence starts always with noun or pronoun, as is the case with assertive sentences. But in this interrogative sentences it is not so. So how you will find your subject in these type of sentences? We have done it. So let us quickly recall now. What is he doing? So you have to frame the interrogative sentences into first assertive simple sentence. So this we have already done, transformation of sentences, and we are going to do it again one by one. How to change simple sentences to interrogative, interrogative to simple, how to change imperatives to simple, simple to imperative, and exclamatory to simple and simple to exclamatory. So this we all are going to do. So let us change it into assertive. What will be the assertive simple sentence? He is doing what? So this way you have to change it into first assertive sentence starting with either a noun or a pronoun, and that will be possible only if you know what are nouns and what are pronouns. So you all know that he, she, it, they, these are pronouns, and any proper noun name is always your noun. So we have changed it into a simple sentence, but then how you will frame a sentence? That is possible. You will change it into a simple sentence when you know how to frame a sentence. What is the sentence structure? So this is my next topic after this, parts of sentences, so that you come to know how to frame a sentence. So dear children, in the framing of a structure of a sentence, you should always remember we have done. First, it should always be your noun or pronoun, followed by your helping verb, then your main verb, and then it can be your object or any other prepositional phrase. It can be you starting with a preposition like into the water, the ball fell into the pond. This way it is. Into the pond is your what? Prepositional phrase. It can have an adjective, it can have an adverb. So this is what your predicate is comprised of. So since now it is what? Always your noun, or pronoun followed by a helping verb and your main verb and the rest of the things at the end. So this is the sentence structure we talk of. So sentence structure, it is very important to learn what is the structure of a sentence, how you should go for it. In English we have started yesterday, so jumbled up words. I started with there he went. So does it make sense? He went there in the morning. If I talk of like this, then it is obviously making a sense. He went there in the morning. He there went, does it make a sense? No. So that is just because we don't know the proper sentence structure, how we should go for it, where should we use which word. This is a sentence structure. So it is important to understand. So this is the structure of a sentence. Always first noun or pronoun followed by a helping verb, that can be optional as I have told you here. Then followed by a main verb and the rest of the things. So now you can easily identify here. It is he, that is your subject, followed by your helping verb, so the rest of the part is what? Your predicate. And in the exams also I want you to write it like this, and then only you will just identify the subject and the predicate for the sentences if you have an interrogative sentence. So I hope this much is clear to you all. This is the basics of sentences. And sentence structure, let us write down what is the sentence structure, what is the pattern or the rule that the sentence structure follows. So let us see your sentence structure. It is noun or a pronoun, then your helping verb which can be optional, then your main verb, and then your object if any object is there, be it direct object, be it indirect object. So this is the sentence structure that you have to follow whenever you try to frame any sentence. So this is very important to learn English, how you will frame the sentence. Now how you will come to know what type of questions can be there in the exam related to subject and predicate. One I have already told you, underline the subject and circle the predicate, or circle the subject and underline the predicate, then identify the subject and predicate in the sentences. Or one more type can be there, we have already done it. Subject can be given and then dash, so you need to fill in the predicate, or dash can be given in the beginning, so you have to fill in the subject and I will provide you with the predicate. So these are the three forms in which subject and predicate can be asked in your exams. So this was about subject and predicate. I hope it is clear. Now let us move on to transformation of sentences. So we have already done 4 types of sentences, but then how you will change it. So let us take the examples and clarify the concept. So I will start with simple. First of all, the assertive sentences into interrogatives. How you will change assertive to interrogative. So let us take one example of such type of sentence so that the meaning is clear to you all. Okay. He is writing a letter. So we all know that he is writing a letter is what? This is assertive sentence. Okay, let's write one more example. The boys are weeping. Okay, now let us change it into interrogative. So what is the rule that I have given you is how to change it into interrogative. You simply need to reverse this order. So here we are starting first with subject, then it is helping verb. So simply what you need to do is you will start with verb, this will come at first position, and taking your subject to the second position, this will become your interrogative. So now let us try it. He is writing a letter. Is he writing a letter? And punctuation marks, very important, so it will be followed by a question mark since it is interrogative sentence. So simply what we have done, we have reversed the order of the subject and the verb. Okay, let us take next example now. The boys are weeping. The boys subject are main verb. Reverse the order now. Are the boys weeping? And your question mark. So isn't it easy to change it into interrogative simply by reversing the order of the subject and the helping verb? And then you should always remember this question mark. And one more thing, since here it is small a in R, and since we are beginning our sentence, so I have already told you that every sentence begins with a capital letter. So you should take into note that this letter of your sentence, initial first letter of your sentence should always be in capital letters. So this was something about interrogative. So there can be another sentences in which the helping verb is not there. So what you will do? Let us see one such sentence. So these were the sentences in which the auxiliary is already given to you. But there can be some sentences in which there is no auxiliary given to you. So what you will do? So let us take on that also. He likes to play chess. Simple assertive sentence. Now let us change it into interrogative. Who will try? Let us see. How will you do? Can we reverse the order of the words? Is there any helping verb here that you can see? Or the auxiliary? Is, are, am, was, were, will, shall? No. So what are we going to do here now? He likes to play chess. In this, first of all, we will see whether the sentence is in present tense or it has been used in the past tense. And I have already told you, for the present tense, we use do and does, whereas for the past, we always use did. So dear children, for the sentences in which you don't have these type of auxiliaries, is, are, am, was, were, will, shall, has, have, so you will always use these words do, does and did. So for the present sentence in the present tense, you will always use do and does, and depending upon singular and plural we use it, and then did for your past. So what is the word that we should use here so that we can change it into interrogative? Let us see. He likes to play chess. If you want to ask anyone a question, how will we ask? Does he like to play chess? Does your question mark. So this is the pattern that we follow for changing into interrogatives, for which we are not given any helping verb. So what is it? He, she, it. These type of third person pronouns, they take does, whereas if we talk of plurals, see, these are singulars. He, she, it is singular, so that is why we have used here does. The rules are given in your books. You can revise once again, or you can watch my previous videos. I have discussed everything over there. So for the singulars we use does, whereas for the plurals we use do. So they like to play chess. If it could have been plural they instead of he, so we could have asked do they like to play chess. So this way, depending upon singular or plural, we can say do is used for plurals, whereas does is used for singulars, like he, she, it, and this is used for words like they, this is used for words like he, she, it, singulars and plurals, and did is used in the past form. So this way you will frame your interrogatives using the words do, does and did. So I hope how to change simple sentences into interrogative is clear to you all. So now let us reverse the order again. Is he writing a letter? If I give you an interrogative sentence and I ask you to change it into simple assertive sentence, what will you do? Again reverse the order. Now subject, bring it to the first position, is bring it to the second position. So it will be he is writing a letter. Are the boys weeping? Subject, the boys. are second position. So it will be the boys are weeping. Simple. Just reverse the orders in both. Now the problematic thing is here in these type of sentences. He likes to play chess. Does he like to play chess? If I give you does he like to play chess, so now change it into assertive. So what will you do? Simply he likes to play chess. So dear children, one thing I want you to take note is he likes to play chess. It is always like this. When you have your singular subject, your verb is always plural. And when you have your subject as plural, then your verb is always singular. So it goes vice versa, the opposite. So if it could have been they, so it could have been like. They like to play chess. He likes to play chess. So what it will be if you inverse the order? He likes to play chess. Simply you will remove this does to change it into assertive, and your like will become here likes. So this means it is in the present tense. The work is of the present, the current time that is going on. So I hope this much is clear. So now let's move on to assertive to negative. Sometimes it is asked change assertive sentences or positive sentences into negative sentences. So how to do that? Let us see now. So now let us see how to change simple sentences into negative ones. Let us take one example. Neeta is cooking food. Change it. Negative. So dear children, whenever you need to change it into negative, as the name suggests, you will insert the word no and not. So by inserting the words like no, not, you can easily change your sentences into negative ones. So let's add no and not, but where you will insert this no and not, this is again important. So dear children, in sentences like negative sentences, it is always after your helping verb. So it will be Neeta is not cooking food. So you have seen that after your helping verb we have inserted not. So it is always after your helping verb. It's not like that wherever you wish you will insert it. No. It should always be after your helping verb. So next is she was playing football. Don't get shocked, girls also these days play football. So don't think that it is a game of a boy, so ma'am has written she for girls. So she was playing football. Change it into negative. Obviously, she was not playing football. Again, after your helping verb was, what we have done, we have inserted the word not and we have changed the simple sentence into a negative one. So now it is conveying a negative sense to you that she was not at all playing football. So I hope this much is clear to you all. So let's see some of the sentences that are exclamatory. How you will change from simple to exclamatory and exclamatory to simple sentences. So let's take one more example of simple to exclamatory. We all have done these type of sentences. So let's recall it once quickly. Okay, let's take one simple example and then we will change it into a exclamatory sentence. The flowers are beautiful. Okay? Let's take one more sentence. It is very hot today. Is it hot today? Yes. What is the temperature today? Can anyone tell me? Do you ever notice temperature in the news? Do you ever listen to the news? What is the weather forecast of the day? I do so. So you should also have a habit of that. It's about, you can say, around 35 to 40 degrees temperature. So it is really hot. It is very hot today. Okay. Now change it into exclamatory sentences. How? How will you do that? So dear children, for the changing of exclamatory sentences, we always use the how, what. That is our WH family. But basically these two words are only used, how and what. So let us start. The flowers are beautiful. So how you will frame? How beautiful the flowers are, plus your sign of exclamation, very important. How beautiful the flowers are. So this way you will change it into your exclamatory. So what we have done is, we will always begin with these WH words, how. Then what we have done, we have taken the adjective here, how beautiful, and the rest of the thing remains as it is. How beautiful the flowers are, plus simply your exclamation sign. So this way you will change it into exclamatory. Now by looking at the sentence, you can see that you are revealing your feelings. How beautiful the flowers are. We are saying that we have seen so many beautiful flowers and we are really fascinated by looking at these beautiful flowers. So it expresses your strong feelings here. Whereas it is a simple sentence. It is very hot today. Now changing it to exclamatory. It is very hot today. So how hot the day is today, or even you can say how hot today the day is, plus your sign of exclamation. So it can be both ways. We have started our exclamatory sentence with the word how. Then what we have done, how hot, that is your adjective, as we have used it at the second place. How hot today the day is, or we can say how hot it is today. That is depending on you. Since we have used here it, so we will use here it only. You can say how hot it is today, or simply how hot today it is. So obviously we are talking of the day, so I have used here day, but if it is it given here, you can always use the same word. That is not a problem. But the thing is, this way you will change it into exclamatory sentence. So this is all for today, that I want you to just recall and revise the rules from your book, and by watching at my previous videos that I have sent, and that is in detail. So this was only few sentences that I could take the examples, but then I will be sending you one assignment worksheet as I have sent it yesterday. So that you have to just solve it in your grammar notebooks, and I will send you the answer key one day after, so that you can tally all your answers whether the answers are correct or no. Since we are not able to check your answers, so please be honest to yourself. First try to solve it yourself without looking at any answer key, and then you can give yourself marks. Or you can even get it checked by your parents, and they will just tell you your answers with the answer key that I will be sending you. So I will be sending you worksheets one day prior and the answer key the next day. So this is what I want you to understand till today. Then there is one more transformation of simple into imperatives that we have done, and one more topic related to this transformation of sentences, or you can say interrogative sentences. There is question tags that we have done. It is there in your book, and that can also be asked in the exam. So the small topic is there that I will discuss in the beginning tomorrow, and after that we are going to start with the nouns. So just revise the rules please, because it is very important. Like the formulas of maths, until you know the rules, you will not be able to solve these type of things. So it is very necessary you know the rules, you remember the rules, and it is just with the practice that you learn. So do practice it. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay home.